back to Swanage Model Railway. In this episode, this is part 2 of the yard refit and upgrade. In this episode, we're going to hopefully finish off the rest of this panel. I only just got the other lot loaded up. This project has been going on for a good month and a bit now, as it's just been a slow project. Been trying to do what I can with it. So yeah, thanks for new subscribers and everyone that liked the last video, as well as all those of you who will comment on it. So to kick this one off, I'm hoping to get a bit more time lapsing in this one, starting off by doing these locks. So I've got a bunch of these still loose. So I've got some nuts, got my screws, and I've got all the equipment over there ready to do it. So I'm just going to move the camera closer and let's get started. Right, so now that we've got all of these installed, I got that last one installed after taking this whole section out. I've also done all the ones down the far end. So we now got the ability to lock at any point along the traversa. Also, whilst I had the panel out, I applied some candle wax to these bits. So it was basically just getting a standard tea light and just rubbing some wax on here, because this bit makes contact with this bit. So a little bit of wax on there ensures that it glides. So we've got wax all the way up here along this bit and on the underside of this bit. And with that, it takes very little effort to move this whole thing. Also applied wax to here, all the way to the front. Bit light there. So just a little bit more wax. And then it just glides like nothing. On installing the locks, so if we pull this out to the end lock, and secure that one in down this end. So at this end, got a slight issue. So if I bring the camera angle down, you can physically see that there's quite a bump there. So if I roll the carriage along to it, there is quite a step, and that just won't do. Also got a slight adjustment on this rail, make it slightly higher, but that's soldered to a screw, so that's quite easy to do. So that's this end where I've got that issue. So I'm going to take this track here up to about here. Well, I'm going to take the whole line up, but about here I'm going to start cutting a channel for that rail to sit in to lower it down to the correct layer, because it's just where the play is in the runners. So I'd either have to put another clamp in there just to try and bring this down again, but that's still slightly raised, so it's easier just to lower it so it's in line with this one. But that's not the only issue with that end-siding. Also got a slight misalignment at this end, so got to lift that end bit and reposition that. Okay, so now that this bit has been sanded down, so that this level is now the same, that's probably only what, about a mil in difference. I used a little sanding attachment for my mini grinder, or little Dremel. I've test fitted the tracks, also cut a few sleepers out for where the bolt is for the runner connection. I've test lined it with the rails and they're matched now. So now that's all dug down, I won't be gluing that in just yet. Still got to match that back into that. So I think it's time to crack out the paint again. Okay, so here we have the next piece of the layout. That's a nice little bit of ply that I've already cut to size and cut the opening for that portal at the end. It's also been pre-drilled as well as drilled into the end of the beam, and I've decided to paint it because it'd be easy to paint it before I actually fix it. So I'm just going to attach this onto the end. But I need to screw and glue it, so right. So now that we've got this end wall attached, it also slightly overhangs on this bit, which locks onto these edge bits here. So if I bring this bit in, you can see how that just sits underneath on both sides. And that's not even with it locked in place, so I'll do that. And that. That panel's not going anywhere. Alright, now that I have got this wall in, I can now run the LED lighting from that control panel all the way along and around this wall. So that'll be the next task I probably do. Right, so the next job I've got to do on the layout is install the panel lighting. This layout is almost at completion. You can also see some extra stuff at the back there because I've been working on some signalling on the way out of the yard. Also not finished with that yet. So we've got this nice 12 volt LED strip light. That I'm going to be running along the top side of in here. That way it's not visible from above and it shines out into the yard. And I'm now installing this because the end panel has been installed. So first step is to feed the wires into the control box and then wrap it round. Okay, so now that I've put that out on its side and fed the cables into the control box, I will be running a single bead of glue along the top edge of the layout, and that'll be partially what that sticks onto. I've rotated the layout 90 degrees onto its front side, so I've got an easier working condition rather than constantly having to look underneath that beam. I can now look straight down on it. So let's get to it. Okay, so that's the light strip in, goes all the way along into the corner and then curves up, or not up, it just curves towards this end of the panel, currently being held in place by a block of wood and a clamp. just so that the glue can set and support that in place. Now I'm going to move on to doing some wiring. Also, that signalling project I mentioned earlier is over here. Just a small little gantry with 2 exit lights. Going to be digital controlled. That's merely for clearance to leave the yard and onto the main layout. So it's merely operational rather than scenic. Purely to improve communication between the operators on the layout. So we'll move to the underside where we are wiring it all up. Right, so now that the signal gantry is installed, the lights are installed, I'm underneath the layout working on the wiring. So for the signal gantry, you can see all my light cables coming in here. I kept a little bit extra cable just in case. So this is the control module. This is a Traintech SC1 DCC signal controller for 2-aspect signal lights. So it's capable of powering 2-aspect lights, which is what I've got on my signal gant. So basic design, we've got track power coming in at the bottom. Simple. You've got the learn button. I'm not going to push that because I've got them set up. So here we have common negative, I believe. Then you got output 1 and 2, which is for the first light. Output 3 and 4, which is for the second light colours. And then you got a common positive. So it's able to route the power via whatever way around, and it just controls the colour outputs. So that's currently powered, so if we swing over the top, you can then just see them there. So if I open up my tablet, I can change them to green if I actually tap them once and not twice. And they're quite simple to set up. What you got to do is push the learn button. It will flash one light. If you want to code that one, you then select the output number. So if I was to push the learn button, so right now I basically just want to give it a number, like switch the light on the code that I want. If I want to do the other one, I push the learn button again and it moves to that one. And then I just push it again to cancel it. So basic, simple. So if I just switch them to red, like that. I've also done all of my other wiring down here. Access behind the control panel. I've got my bus suppressor, got my USB outlets on top side, using a bunch of Wago connectors so that I can undo the top bit. And to protect all the cabling, I've got this bit of hardboard that I've just been cutting up, which covers over the whole lot. Just got to make myself a support on that side, otherwise that sits nice and flush with the underside. So next job is to create the supports. Obviously I'm going to do that off camera, like most of the project has unfortunately been. So I'll get that all set up and made, and then get the layout bit down, and we'll move on to the next stage. Obviously after this bit goes on, I'm obviously going to do a bit down the other end to guard over the cabling down this end. Again, another little simple job. So I'll get on to that and then resume the video. Right, so now that we have this cover on, left gap for the plug, and I had these cables coming down low, so I had to leave a gap for that and where these ones entered. So that's installed. That'll keep any of our cabling there safe. If I ever need to remove the control panel, I've just got 4 screws in the corners to undo, and then I can undo the Wago connectors and remove that panel if ever needed. And then down this end of the panel, got another little cover where the end section of track links on with the bit that goes on there. Got all my power connections under there in order to stop me snagging any of those cables when in transit or physically holding the layout from the top side. We've got this on, 3 screws, as it's just been fixed down on one side. I had to put a little cut for the cable to get in. So with that all sorted, I think it's time we get this panel back down. Right, so here we go. We are now back on the top side. So with this panel now complete, the next true project will be to moving on to this end segment, where I'll be painting the bottom side with the green. I'll be putting brick paper around the top of the wall, and I'll be ballasting this top section, much like the bit here before had. But I'll also be adding the Velcro around it for the curtain to go around this time. So with that said and done, let's get on to testing this panel out. So we've got the new lighting that goes all the way around. So if I'm to flick this switch up, you've now got all the way around lighting, which is pretty cool. So that lights this panel up pretty effectively. Now let's add some power. So main panel power, so that's this whole section up to that join there after the traversa. So if I'm to flick this last switch up, that now powers up to the end. That end section isolation is to stop runaway trains if they go out of control and are not listening. We can just cut that and take away their power. Right, now on to the section involving the gantry. So let's power up this train right here. For the record, I still haven't got the ADCC working yet. We're still messing around with that, trying to get it to work. I've tried flipping the circuit around so it's now the opposite way. Because to activate it, all I've got to do is flick that switch down. So let's send the first train out of the yard under a green light. Wrong green light. That I'll have to get used to. Right, so next stage. So as you can see, I've attached the Velcro onto the side. That's for the curtain that goes around the layout. That's just stuck on with its own glue and some staples. So the next stage is to get some of this brick paper, which is a thing that I downloaded from, I think, Scale Model Scenery. It's just a download. You can print out as much as you want and cut it out and use it. So in order to use it, I need to cut some off. So to protect the layout, I'm putting down this piece of hardboard. Right, so whilst the walls are drying, I'm going to do the ballast on here. Otherwise, if I put the inner wall stuff on already, as soon as I put the ballast in and put the watered down PVA on it, the paper is going to soak that up and dilute the colours and go all green and horrible. I know this because I've done it before. Right, with this bit now done, so I've got the capping stones on and everything, so it's all capped off and finished. I now put that back on the end and we'll have a look at how it sits. Right, so that's how that bit looks on the end now. Ballast is all nice and set. Sits in place pretty well still. And I left enough ballast off to not hit that wall, which is good. So that's that bit now completely finished. My next job is to clean this panel up a little bit, as this is also done, which is quite cool. I'll be moving back onto the rest of the layout next. Don't know what section I will start on. I'll probably just pick one bit and continue on from there, like I usually do. So thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. Any questions, feel free to drop a comment and I will answer you in the next one. And if you've got any ideas on what you want to see me do next, feel free to drop that. But again, thank you for watching. See you in the next one.